Now I haven't made my final choice yet.
咁我聽咧就仲未做決定嘅。
But various people have said to me, people who switch to an Apple would never go back to a PC.
咁又係真嘅呢個，就係如果轉咗用蘋果嘅人咧。
Maybe not everybody feels that.
You install Windows in your Mac.
Yeah, so I still like the PC.
咁有啲人講過咧，就係用咗蘋果嘅人咧，就唔會翻去用 PC 㗎。
Okay, now
你用啲咁深嘅。
I haven't talked to everybody, so I don't know if everybody says that, but some people have said that to me.
係有啲人咧就係話啦，即係轉咗用蘋果就唔會翻去用 Windows 啦。
I think that when we get to and are a part of Revelation 7, we would feel like I'd never go back. I'd never go back.
可能咧嗰啲見到即係天國咁樣咁偉大嘅，即係或者經歷過呢啲咁好嘅感受嘅人咧，就會哇！我唔會翻去地上㗎啦咁樣。
But there's something else in this chapter that we haven't talked about yet. Something that we've missed that is very powerful.
喺呢一度咧有一啲嘢我哋可能咧冇留意到嘅，但係咧亦都好重要喎。
This chapter is filled with hope and future security.
呢篇經文咧，我哋見到充滿盼望啦，同埋俾我哋對於我哋嘅將來咧係一個保障嚟嘅。
But there's a warning hidden in this chapter that when we stop and think about it, when we recognize it, it's obvious.
但係咧喺呢篇經文裏邊咧，亦都隱藏住一個警告嘅喎。咁當我哋去明白或者我哋留意到嘅時候咧，就會覺得其實佢都係好明顯嘅寫得。
It's in verses 5 to 8.
就係第5至到第8節啦。
What do we have in verses 5 to 8?
第5至到第8節係講緊啲咩咧？
The 12 tribes.
講緊以色列12支派。
Oh, but wait a minute. 2 tribes are missing.
但係如果你留意到嘅咧，係有2個支派咧係冇提及到喎。
Ephraim is not there, and Dan is not there.
以法蓮同埋但呢2個支派咧係冇提到嘅。
Levi is there. Usually Levi isn't listed in the tribal groups in the Old Testament times.
通常
But he is here.
喺舊約咧睇到12支派嘅時候咧就唔會提利未嘅，但係呢一度咧就將利未咧加咗入去啦。
Now I'm not going to explain all this. I believe it's not hard, but I want for us to think about why is not Dan there? What happened to Dan? What happened to Ephraim?
你可以諗下咧，點解但同埋以法蓮呢兩個支派咧係冇寫到入去咧？發生咗咩事咧？
Because elsewhere in the scriptures, in the whole Old Testament background, they're a part of the 12 tribes. They're there.
喺舊約聖經咧提到12支派嘅時候，都有提到佢哋嘅名嘅喎。
Well, we need to go back to the Old Testament background to think about this just a little bit more.
讓我哋一齊去睇翻舊約聖經嘅一啲背景啦、一啲資料啦，俾我哋可能咧，我哋會知道答案啦。
When Moses gave the law to the people the last time before entering into the promised land, he made it very clear to them that if anybody established idolatry, if any tribe established idolatry in the land that they were given, that they would be cut off.
摩西咧帶住以色列人咧去到應許之地之前，摩西最後一次將律法去同佢哋講嘅時候，提到凡係有人喺佢自己嘅地上邊去拜偶像嘅話，神就會將佢哋剪除。
And in Deuteronomy, it says that God would never be willing to forgive him.
喺申命記咧，神講到話，如果有人去犯呢啲罪咧，神永遠都唔願意去原諒佢哋。
The zeal of God's wrath would burn against him.
神嘅憤怒係會去焚燒佢哋。
Now, if you go to 1 Kings chapter 12, you'll find out something very significant that happened there.
如果你喺列王記上第12章咧，你會見到有一件事發生咗。
After Solomon was king,
所羅門做咗王之後咧
son Rehoboam became king.
Rehoboam is Solomon's
Son.
OK. 所羅門佢有個仔啦，叫做耶羅波安。No， 係羅波安。有兩個。
Okay.
羅波安。
Now, what happened was God was judging Solomon because Solomon had not been faithful to God in his later years.
神咧審判所羅門啊，因為所羅門喺佢年老嘅時候對神咧唔忠誠。
And so what God did, the kingdom that had been united under Solomon was divided under his son. So Rehoboam became a king of the southern kingdom. Rehoboam, Solomon's son, became king of the southern kingdom, and Jeroboam became king of the northern kingdom.
所以咧，因為所羅門佢喺佢晚年嘅時候咧，對神咧唔忠心啦，於是咧神咧就審判佢哋，讓佢兩個仔咧即係讓佢嘅國咧係分裂咗啊！咁佢嘅仔耶羅波安咧就喺北面，咁而羅波安咧就喺南邊啦。
Jeroboam was an Ephraimite.
而耶羅波安咧係以法蓮嘅支派嘅屬於。
And he was made king of the northern kingdom.
佢就喺北面嗰度做王啦。
But he was afraid that his people would go back to Jerusalem to worship God.
佢擔心佢嘅子民咧會翻去耶路撒冷敬拜神。
And if they did that, he was afraid the whole country would go back to Rehoboam.
因為佢驚咧，如果佢嘅子民翻去神嗰度咧，佢嘅子民亦都會歸翻羅波安啊。
And he figured if they went back to Rehoboam, they would kill him.
因為如果當佢嘅子民咧去投靠另外一個國嘅時候咧，佢自己嘅生命就有危險啦。
So he did not want them to go back to Jerusalem to worship.
所以咧，耶羅波安咧唔希望佢嘅子民咧會翻耶路撒冷敬拜神。
So what do?
咁佢點做咧
You set up some idols up north in your kingdom, so that the people would stay there to worship.
咁於是咧，佢咧就做咗一個牛犢啦、牛犢，做咗個偶像出嚟，去俾佢嘅子民去拜啦。
And where did they set up those idols?
佢喺邊一度去設立呢啲牛犢咧
In Ephraim and in Dan.
就喺但同埋以法蓮呢一個地方。
And so I believe that Revelation chapter 7 verses 5 to 8 is a fulfillment of what Moses said to the people through the law in Deuteronomy when he warned them that if they set up idolatry in this kind of a way, they would never be forgiven.
所以咧就係相信喺啟示錄第7章5至到第8節咧冇提到但同埋以法蓮咧，其實咧就係成就咗神當時藉住摩西頒俾以色列人嘅律法啦，就係講到當佢哋去拜偶像嘅時候，佢哋必永久係被剪除啊。
The Israelites, the 12 tribes, were the chosen people of God.
以色列人咧係神所揀選嘅子民。
But among two of them, they were not saved. They were totally lost. Their name was wiped out of the Lamb's book of life.
但係咧呢兩個支派咧就係喺神嘅生命冊上邊咧係即係佢清除咗冇佢哋個名啦。
Having been saved and called by God in the first place does not mean that they could not lose their salvation.
一開始神係揀選咗佢哋嘅，佢哋係得救嘅，但係唔代表永遠都係咁樣。
And so as we look at chapter 7, we need to realize we're not there yet. We are still here. And how does this understanding of chapter 7 affect our lives here and now?
第7章咧係將來會發生嘅事，係未發生嘅喎。點樣影響我哋今日嘅生活咧
Now our salvation can be secure.
Our salvation can be secure。我哋嘅救恩咧係可以確保嘅，係可以得到保障嘅。
But the only way it can be secure is as we stand faithful in our relationship and walk with Jesus Christ.
點樣得到保障啊？就係我哋要去對上帝係忠誠，係去同我哋嘅主去同行。
Chapter 7, a picture of our hope, a picture of the victory that we will have in Jesus Christ.
喺第7章咧，俾我哋有一個盼望，俾我哋有一個得勝啊，係我哋將來咧可以喺基督裏邊可以得到嘅。
But at the same time, a warning that if we turn away, as Dan and Ephraim did, our salvation can be lost.
但係同樣咧，亦都係一個警告，俾我哋知道，如果我哋係好似但同埋以法蓮咁樣去背棄神嘅話，我哋亦都係必永遠被剪除。
Is that God's will?
我哋我哋被剪除呢一樣嘢係咪神嘅意願呢？
Does God want that to happen?
神係咪想呢啲事發生呢？
Of course not.
一定唔係。
And so even when there are times in our lives that we're not faithful to Him, He remains faithful.
喺我哋生命當中咧，當我哋對神唔忠誠嘅時候咧，神對我哋仍然係信實嘅，佢仍然喺度。
He is there constantly to call us back to Him, to remind us, asking that we reestablish that relationship, that we can once again be strong in that hope and that security.
上帝咧不斷咁樣去揾我哋啦，去呼求我哋啦，去揾我哋咯。咁當我哋願意再次同佢去建立關係嘅時候咧，我哋亦都再次得到呢一份嘅救恩。
The events recorded in chapter 7 are between the 6th and the 7th seals. The end has not come yet.
喺第7章咧記錄嘅情景咧係喺第6個印已經打開咗，而第7個印係未開嘅之間發生嘅。
But I believe it's here as a picture of what the reality of our lives what the reality of our lives is in the Lord Jesus Christ as His servants in the future.
但係咧第7章俾我哋睇到，當我哋係做神嘅僕人嘅時候咧，即係忠心做神嘅僕人嘅時候，係可以係得到或者可以係經歷到第7章嘅嘢嘅。
It is a challenge to be among those servants of God who have the seal of God in our hearts and minds, in our lives.
所以咧，我哋承受咗神嘅印記啦，屬於神嘅子民，係神嘅僕人啦。第7章呢一個景象咧，對我哋嚟講係一個挑戰嚟嘅。
Is there anything in our lives today that would keep us from that?
我哋生命當中有冇任何一樣嘢係阻撓我哋可以到第7章呢一個情景咧？
What do we need to do with that?
我哋要做嘅係啲乜嘢？
How do we need to handle that?
我哋要點處理咧？
What is God wanting?
神嘅警告係啲乜嘢？
What is God's desire for you and me?
神對我哋嘅旨意又係啲乜嘢咧？
Is there any question about that?
你會唔會有疑惑，或者你會唔會有睇唔清楚咧
Our days, our society, whether we're talking about here in Hong Kong or otherwise in the States, it's a combination of 2 or 3 different kinds of things.
我哋嘅世代啦，我哋嘅社會啦，係有好幾樣唔同嘅嘢咧，夾埋一齊嘅。